back to Smoked Meat with Jeff. Today we're going to do a dish that I get a lot of requests from a couple of my friends. It is a dish that does take quite a bit longer to make than some of the other smoked meat recipes, but if done right, it is spectacular. Today we're going to do pork spare ribs. And of course I'm going to incorporate, I've got some Angry Orchard here. Got a bottle for now. And then I've reserved a bottle for later on during the cooking process, but this will be used to help flavor this dish. Some of the basic ingredients you're going to need as far as non-food ingredients, you're going to need some aluminum foil, a sharp knife, a pair of pliers. This is optional, but it makes a little prep work a little bit easier, and a brush for some barbecue sauce. And for our food ingredients today, of course, I've got a rack of pork spare ribs. I've got some of my special spices, my sweet and smoky, and some of my homemade barbecue sauce that you can see how to make in one of my other YouTube videos that we'll be brushing on towards the end. So let's get to the prep section of this area while I've got my smoker in the background here started and coming up to temperature. Today we're going to be smoking with some mesquite and some almond wood. Let's start prepping this slab of meat. All right, a quick word about how to do ribs that really makes a difference is ribs really don't have a quote-unquote finish temperature on the smoker or barbecue. You pretty much cook them until they're done. And how you know that the ribs are done is when the meat starts to fall off of the bone. Typically for pork spare ribs, that is anywhere between 5 and 6 hours if you're running your smoker at around 250 degrees. The other secret to great ribs, whether you do them on a smoker, barbecue, in the oven, or however else you wish to prepare these, is to remove on the ribs, the back side of the ribs, so that's the front side of the ribs, this is the inside of the ribs here, there is a little bit of a membrane. And it's real hard to show on the video, but it's really hard to get off. But that's where your sharp knife, and if you have a pair of pliers, comes into play, because we are going to work on getting underneath this little layer, and then basically, as best we can, peeling it off of the back of the ribs. This membrane is very slippery and hard to hold on to. So you can start working it off like I'm doing here with your fingers, or grab a pair of pliers and kind of double up on the skin and use that to kind of pull this off. Makes it a little easier. As you can see, that's coming right off. But getting that membrane off makes all the difference in the world on the finished ribs, because it allows you to cut these things apart a lot easier. It allows a lot more of the flavor to actually get into the meat itself rather than getting stuck behind this membrane barrier. And it's a lot less to get stuck in your teeth while you're enjoying this delectable, almost bacon-like meat. So I'm going to work on this for a little while, and then we will get to the next step, which is going to be the seasoning, and then we're going to be basically putting this thing on the grill. Okay, I've got my ribs prepped. I got that membrane off. I got the leftover membrane over here, so we've exposed the meat, and we are going to put a little bit of seasoning on the backside, especially on the meaty portion. And then we're going to flip this thing over, and we are going to take the rest of my seasoning, it looks like I need to make some more, and put it all over the front. Now this is going to go on the smoker with the bone side down for both the sessions that we're going to have this thing on the smoker. So we're going to smoke it for a couple of hours as is, just directly on the rack, like so. And then we are going to take this thing out and basically put it into a what I call a foil boat. And then we're going to cook it for the remainder of the time that it's going to take to get this thing nice and tender. So let's get this on the smoker. Alright, I've got the meat on the smoker. It is going to sit here just like this for about 2 hours. After that point, we will take it off and make a foil boat for really locking in the flavor and juices and get this thing back onto the smoker. So let's let this sit for a little while. All right, it's been about 2 hours or so for the ribs, so let's take a look. Oh, that's coming along nicely. Got the nice smoked in flavor, so we are going to go ahead and pull this off now and make what I call a foil boat to put this in. And just lock in a lot of the juices while we allow it to cook for the next 3 hours or so. And over here I've got some this is turkey drumsticks that I have going. If you want to see how to make these, check out one of my other videos. So let's go ahead and get this pulled off. Alright, I have pulled the slab of pork ribs off the barbecue, and now it is time to do one of the most difficult but critical portions of what we're going to do today. We are going to wrap this entire thing in a boat made out of foil, and the reason that I call it a boat is because the bottom side is going to be cupped up so that it can hold liquid, and then this will go back onto the smoker for about another 3 hours. If you can get a hold of Reynolds or aluminum foil that is extra wide, this step gets a lot easier. Unfortunately, I'm dealing with just regular foil today, so we'll see if we can make this work. Go ahead and double up for 2 layers on the bottom, because if you inadvertently puncture the bottom of it, you got another layer to trap that moisture. So that'll work there. Center it on there and start folding up the foil. So now we have ourselves a little boat. And what I'm going to do is actually place this entire thing onto one of my Bradley racks to make it easier to move without inadvertently puncturing the bottom of it. And then you take your Angry Orchard. You can use just apple juice for this, but why not go the extra mile and do some Angry Orchard. About a 1/4 cup or so. I'm going to throw a little more in there, so this will kind of boil and steam on the inside of this. And of course, whatever's left over you have to consume so it doesn't go to waste. Perfect. Then we're going to cover this thing up. And you can just loosely wrap it. You're just trying to make sure that you keep the moisture inside as it's evaporating and coming out from underneath the rack of ribs itself. And then this whole thing will go right back onto the smoker for about another 3 hours. At about the 2-hour mark, we'll start pulling the foil off and testing the bones to see how tender the meat is. And when the meat starts to fall off the bone, then it'll pull it off the smoker and have dinner. All right, the foil wrapped ribs have been in here for quite a while, so let's take a look at what we got going. Let's see if I can get this off without burning my fingers too bad. Oh, that's looking good. So at this point, we are going to want to kind of peel back the foil, and let's see how this is doing here. Well, not quite ready yet, and that's perfect because we're going to start. That's good. Throwing the barbecue sauce on here. Typically, you can leave this in here with a dry rub until it's all the way done. But I have decided that I want to do mine with a little glaze on it and make it a little easier. Let's start by pouring this on here. And we're going to spread this around, and we're going to let this continue to cook in the smoker uncovered to allow the barbecue sauce to glaze over. And it looks like I may actually need to go get some more barbecue sauce. And we will continue to let this smoke, checking on it about every 15-20 minutes to put on another layer of barbecue sauce, and checking on the meat for tenderness until it is fall off the bone tender, and then we are good to eat. All right, our ribs are done. And they are looking absolutely amazing. And let's see if I can get these things off the grill here without burning myself too bad. So you can do this with either just a dry rub or with the barbecue sauce like I did. Ouch, that rack's hot. And I've got juice running all over the place on this thing. I'm gonna have to really wash this cutting board by the time I'm done. So let's cut a few off here and see how we're doing. Got to get between the ribs. Oh, that's looking good. I'm going to cut one free. Pork spare ribs. Favorite of a lot of my house guests. Look at that. Look at that dripping. That's just crazy. So, hope you have a successful trip with making pork ribs on your barbecue sometime, and hoping that my tips really helped you out with making that successful. So this is Jeff with Smoked Meat with Jeff. Have fun on your smoker and enjoy those ribs. Oh, it's hot. Oh, but oh so good. Till next time.